welcome. This is the Pitch of Discontent. Owen back again for another guest episode. Joining me on the show, we have Amy from Future Static. Hello, how you doing?
I'm really good, Owen, and you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for making it all the way to the studio. We were talking about the logistics this morning, getting you a coffee, making sure you could get the right directions to get over here. You've also met the dog, the studio co-host.
Little Reese. So cute.
I mean, for people who might not be familiar with you and the band and what you do, could you give us a brief introduction on who you are and what you do?
Yes. My name's Amariah, or you can call me Amy. I'm the lead vocalist of Future Static, Melbourne-based metalcore, like melodic metalcore band. That's what I do. I also handle all the social media. Don't do any admin because I suck at that, and definitely don't give me any of the finances.
Okay, that's good. Juggling all of the important stuff, I would say, and leave all the technical admin to someone else.
Yeah,
that's perfect. I want to start by chatting about the record from last year, debut album, Liminality. I love that record. And it was the thing that really kind of put the band on the radar for me. I'd heard the name, I'd seen you around. Previously, we were living on the Gold Coast, so like I wasn't really in the Melbourne scene too much, so I hadn't seen you play live. The record is fantastic. So let's start off there. We're about 8 months out from release? It was November, right?
Yeah, it was. It was the end of November. So,
yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, we're just about 8 months out. Oh my God, I can't wait for the 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, so like three quarters of a year almost.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about the record post-release?
I'm genuinely super proud of it. I mean, to be honest, like before I joined Future Static, because I joined a bit later than when they started, I hadn't really been involved in any like proper recording sessions or any releases at all in my lifetime. So it was just like such an amazing thing to go through that process and have it come out the way it did. Like I'm very proud of it. I think. Yeah, what else? Oh, my brain.
No, I would say I would say that I agree with you, and I think in terms of a debut album, it's an incredibly strong kind of announcement for the band. And I know that you went through kind of some lineup changes, like you were kind of a new inclusion to the band as well as some other members. So it was definitely like a retooling of the band, so to speak. And then to kind of announce that new form of the band with this record, I think is an incredibly strong start.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Like obviously there's parts of it where I'm like, that could have been better, like anything in the world, right? Like, you know, you listen to something enough times, you only hear like what's wrong with it, because that's just what happens.
Sure.
But all in all, like sometimes like when I spend a long time without actually listening to any of the songs again, or, you know, if I go back and listen to it now, sometimes I'm like, oh shit, this is good. So to toot my own horn, I'm like, oh, this is actually better than I remember it. So
I was listening to it this morning while I was doing prep for our chat today, and I was like, man, this record whips. It's so fucking good.
I definitely think we made one very, very vital, brutal mistake with this album, and that is we wrote it over lockdown and recorded most of the songs before having a go at actually playing them live.
Okay.
So that's definitely a struggle, and we have gotten to a point where we can play all the songs now, but it's really, we've had to up our game quite heavily to do that and practice a lot, and my voice at this point can handle it. but, you know, maybe like 5 years from now as I get older, I might not be able to reach those notes, you know, like it's just a thing that happens as you get
Sure.
older, your voice kind of deepens a little bit. And
Yeah.
like, so, you know, at this point it's fine. Touring this album is going to be fucking difficult. I barely left myself space to breathe. There's like so many guitar layers that like Ryan's trying to like do all these things at once and also help with vocals. Kira's helping with vocals, and like Jackson's drumming is just constantly like in your face and at 127 velocity, right? So yeah, that's just like one thing that I like. If I really had to change something about how we wrote that, maybe like a few things we could have let some things breathe a little bit more.
Yeah. I think that makes sense to me though. Like if you're writing and recording a record in lockdown, you know, perhaps the live feel of the songs and the live performance of the album isn't at the forefront of your mind in that kind of mode, right? Because like you're not playing shows in lockdown. You're just trying to like make the best music you can and put that on record. So yeah, I don't know if I would call it a brutal mistake. If anything, it seems like just a learning curve.
Brutal on our bodies. Yeah.
Are you finding that the record and now the performance of those songs has made you improve as a vocalist? Like you've really had to kind of step your game up?
Absolutely. I didn't even scream before I joined Future Static.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, I started doing lessons with Kin from 12 Foot Ninja just because I thought it would be fun to like just learn how to make the sound.
Yeah.
And I kind of managed to get like a false chord kind of thing going. But like, yeah, but just writing all that stuff and like tracking it one word at a time, you know, and then I'm like, oh shit, I actually have to do this now.
Yep.
And so you just got to step up and do it, or otherwise you look like a
Well,
like a coward.
Yeah. I mean, I'm yet to see the band live. I'm definitely going to rectify that soon. But I was listening to the record and I think like the first few songs, you know, like singles from the record, incredibly strong, and your vocals are so striking that it's like one of the biggest like wow factors of the band.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. And then I was listening to it again today, like I said, and I got to Icarus, which is my favorite song on the record. A little bit of a deep cut in there. But I was listening to that song again and I was like, wow, this is really special. And I think you've got something with the alchemy of the band and the different members that is really something special.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely think like, we're the best team that we could have been. Like our little group is just so like, it just like clicked so well from the beginning. And like I was friends with a few of them for like a few years beforehand. And like, and it's really lovely to share all of that with them. And when we work well together as a team on and off stage, like we're all good at different things, so it just works out really well in that sense. And I'm glad you really like Icarus. It's one of the most fun to sing live. Also difficult, but really fun. So
a lot of vocal layers on that record, a lot of harmony on that track, a lot of harmonies, but just the way it's mixed, the performances, like is easily like my standout. And when my first playthrough, I got like an advance of the record before it came out, and I was listening to the stream and it hit that song and I was like, holy shit. I was like, this band's gonna be huge.
Oh, thank you.
It's crazy.
Honestly, I wanted that one to be a single, but
I said on the podcast they should have made it a single. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I wanted it to be a single, but then like I was like, you know what? Honestly, the theme, like the lyrical theme, isn't as like. I mean, you could do something fun with it, but like, some of the other songs just had like such a more like obvious visual aspect to it. And our manager was like, no, this one's going to go off live, blah, blah, blah. Like all these other, like Hourglass, Roach Queen, all of those as well. So
all great songs. Like the single choices were spot on.
Oh, thanks. But yeah, I really like it. I wouldn't have minded doing something a little bit special for Icarus. It was a pretty, like just a song that I really, really loved as well. So and love. So.
Awesome. I want to kind of take things back now to kind of the beginning of your connection with music And you mentioned a couple of things like learning to scream and joining the band, and I'm hoping we can kind of track our way through that as we talk about your musical journey today. One of the more interesting aspects of the band and also your kind of like place in the band is that even though you were born in Melbourne, you grew up in Barcelona in Spain. So I want to start there. What was your childhood like living outside of Australia, and how do you think that has kind of influenced where you are today?
Okay, that's a big one.
Let's go. Let's do
Yeah,
it.
loaded question. Yeah. We've got a lot of cultural differences from Spain. But yeah, I grew up here up until I was about 7.
Okay.
So I had like my first years here, and I didn't remember much. I still don't remember too much about it. Just like a couple of details, like the house we lived in, the school I went to, just like little tiny stories and stuff like that. You know,
Yeah.
whatever memory people have up until they're 7. And then we moved to Italy for a year first. So my mum's an opera singer, my dad's a conductor. There's the musical aspect there. They're both classical musicians, and they were both also quite young when they had us. So mum only started her opera training when I had already been born.
Oh, wow.
Because she was 21 when she had me. And yeah, and so she got, like 7 years later, she was really starting to pop off as a dramatic soprano. She's big voice woman, like bigger than me. I'm like, where she's got like this jaw structure and the just big voice. She's a little bit wider than me.
Yeah.
But still very, very, very nice and attractive, if I may say so myself. Got a hot mom, guys.
Shout out, mum.
But she's always had like the most amazing voice, and she's so dramatic because of the opera. And I think she's always been like that as well because she grew up in a Sicilian family. So she's just always been very dramatic. Like her facial expressions are so intense and so I grew up watching her perform operas, and Dad, helping her out, like being an accompanist and also conducting massive orchestras and stuff like that.
And that was the family connection to move back to Italy, right? Is that like Sicilian heritage?
No, it was because Mum won a competition here. There's an opera competition that's been running for years. It's still going, I believe, called the Acclaim Awards, and she won the first prize, and that prize was to go do a masterclass with a famous opera singer in Italy, in Florence. So that's how we ended up there.
Right.
And Dad was like, well, that works out for me too, because she was meant to go for 6 months. So she was like, I don't want to leave my kids for 6 months. They're only like 7 and my brother was 5.
Yeah.
And she's like, if it was only 3 months, maybe, but 6, she just felt like it was just a bit too much. And Dad was like, look, there's a conductor in Italy that I really want to learn from as well. So they just like kind of sold everything, packed up, and
I mean, why not?
took us with them. And we're like, hell yeah, we get to go on a plane for the first time. Let's do this. So yeah, ended up in Italy, went to school there. And then Mum ended up getting a contract to sing in the Liceo, which is like a big opera house in Barcelona. So she went over there for a month to get things started, and we went back to Melbourne for a month just to kind of like settle a few more things, and then met her over there.
Well, it seemed like it was going to be a more permanent thing to kind of move to Europe and live there, right?
Yeah. So because this contract was we ended up staying in Italy for a year, which was a bit unexpected. But then we were like, okay, it looks like this is going to be, I think we should probably see your grandmother and like other family members. My great grandmother was still around up until, as in alive until I was like 13. So we're like, who knows? But we didn't know how long she was going to live. So we're like, let's go see, your great grandmother and your great grandfather, the old Sicilians. That's where, that. And we went back. My dad also wanted to show off that we could speak fluent Italian by then.
Beautiful.
Which I forgot entirely, by the way. That's all gone.
I was about to ask, can you speak? No?
No, not Italian.
Okay.
That like had to leave my brain for Catalan and Spanish to fit in at the time. Then moved to Barcelona, and Mum and Dad continued to do their musical stuff while we went to school, and like grew up and kept going to see them do operas, and then as we got a bit older and older, they would just be like, oh, support us in what we were doing. And I really loved singing. I've always loved singing. I think Mum said the first time I started singing was when I was like not even 2. This Dad had a guy over, like a piano technician or whatever you call it, to tune the piano.
And you were just doing
he was
scales
just
or
like,
something?
no, he was just like testing it, the note, and tuning it, and I was like,
Beautiful.
just imitating the sound, trying to get the pitch right. So I've been singing for a long time.
Yeah.
And then, so Mum would kind of just on and off train me. I learned a bit of piano, but Dad kept getting shitty at me for not reading the music and memorizing everything, because he was like, you're just like your mother. It breeds laziness if you're just going to use your memory. And I'm like, nah.
I did the same thing. I played piano. We had like a beautiful grand piano growing up. I don't even know where we got it from. Not from a musical family, so it was very random that we had a piano. But I can remember like playing a couple of things and then doing piano lessons in like early grade school.
Yeah.
And just not knowing how to read music.
Yeah.
And then I did drums as a teenager, still couldn't read music. So like everything I was doing was playing by ear.
Yeah.
And I would just like hear stuff played and I'd be like, okay, I can imitate that. And then as soon as I went to an exam, failed because I can't read music. So I feel you.
Yeah, Mum somehow got through, like she got through her courses and stuff, but she didn't really, like, she never read the music. She just memorized it. She'd just listen and do it.
That's crazy.
And Dad, I think Dad was just a little bit like, why did I have to study so fucking hard to get here? Pardon my language. So hard to get to where I am. But he's amazing. He's like, he's got the academic brain that, like, my mum was just like the creative, like, where my dad's just like super, it's perfect. But they're both music, like, creative, they're both musical. So it's like, it's good. Lived there for a while, did a lot of bits and pieces, joined my first band when I don't know. My first band would have been when I was 14, but it was a very short-lived thing. I was just doing some backing vocals and stuff, and I'd sung a couple of songs.
What kind of music are you talking about?
We did like, I don't know, like covers of The Strokes and stuff like that.
Okay.
Or just, The Offspring, it's just like a little cover band, but I didn't. And then we wrote there was a Paramore cover that we did. It's so funny. It was like the first recording I ever did, actually, properly. Like the one of the guitarists was trying to learn how to do what's it called? Like production and mixing and stuff like that. He's a bit older. He was 20, I think. And so he was like, oh, you want to record this thing? I'm like, sick, yeah, let's go. Let's figure out how to and I just like listen back to it now. I'm like, whoa, my voice was so young. It's so funny to hear it. And then I joined the other band, my more serious band that I joined, which I was in for 2 years, I think when I was 16 or like 15 and a half, 16, and I joined as the bassist, funny enough, not even as a singer. They were like, oh, can you play bass? I'm like, I can play guitar, so I could probably play bass. I borrowed a bass off a mate and never gave it back. 16-year-old things, I know. And that was really fun. Because they really liked playing a lot of Radiohead and Red Hot Chili Peppers, things that are really like bass intricate.
Yeah.
And so I learned how to play bass quite well at that point, like lots of slapping and popping and little runs and stuff. But it was really fun. But and I also did some backing vocals and stuff, and then I joined a band very briefly as well as a singer for it was like a prog band. It was basically exclusively Tool covers and a couple of originals.
Incredible.
Yeah, but the funny thing about that now is that the guitarist who was in that band is now going to be doing our sound for the Spanish show. So
oh shit!
It's so wild. I'm like, I'm going to see him again. Oh my god. Anyway, back to
small world.
and then I moved to Australia, and I kind of yeah, after that didn't. Yeah, I didn't really like find music. I just kind of stopped, got into hairdressing, really enjoyed that, like started working full time and just like struggled a lot to find music again until I met my ex, Ben, who was friends with Jack and Jackson. Like they grew up together, the guys in my band. Yes. So they're all really like, we're all really good friends now, even though we're not together.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just, yeah. So I found him and I was like, oh my God, he was in bands and stuff like that. And I was like actually going to live shows again. And I was like, oh shit, it just kind of reignited all of that. But yeah, as far as differences culturally go, I did struggle a lot to make friends here because people think you're rude. Because it's just like my intonation sometimes just gets a little bit like people are like, what do you mean? Why are you talking at me like this? I'm like, oh, sorry, am I yelling? And and I just say expressions that wouldn't translate well. Like I remember when I met Jack's girlfriend for the first time. There's an expression in Spanish which when you say it in English it sounds really bad, but it's actually a massive compliment. It's like I met her and I was like, oh my God, you're so much prettier than I thought. And obviously now I'm I've been back for 9 years now. I've figured those things out. I've been being a hairdresser for a long time. You have to figure it out. But when I first came here, the first few years were rough. Like just language things. Like even though I was fluent in English, had an Australian accent, people didn't quite understand that. Like, if I had a really strong accent, people would be like, oh, she's just from somewhere else. Like she didn't mean that. But because I sounded Australian,
Oh, she means it.
Oh yeah, she's a CUNT.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So
I don't know. I think there is something to be said for like the conversational tone of like mainland Europe. Like you listen to like Germans talk and it sounds incredibly aggressive, even though they're just having a regular chat.
Yeah.
Same with Italian.
Yeah.
And I would say probably with Spanish as well. Like they're just such I don't know, like verbal languages, lots of gesticulation, lots of like passionate kind of conversation.
Yeah. And everything ends up being about sex as well, especially when you're a teenager over there. Like, and it doesn't mean anything. Like you just like everything just ends up being like turns into a conversation about something sexual for no reason at all. Like just because it's just like a very open place. And so that was also a problem here. Because I'd have a lot of guys think that I was hitting on them. I'm like, what? No.
I'm just having a conversation. Yeah.
No,
Australia has a very conservative, prudish attitude when it comes to sexual conversation. And
I mean, Melbourne's getting better now and stuff like that. But yeah.
Okay. So you come back to Australia, hairdressing, you meet your ex, you meet the guys in Future Static.
Mm-hmm.
Take me to the conversation that happens where you join the band. Okay. How does that develop and what was that like for you to step into that role?
All right. So, I was just kind of like, I'll try to make this not too long-winded. But
please, be as long-winded as you like.
When I was I was hairdressing at the one salon for like almost 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a long time and they were just like business run by like an older Italian dude. He was lovely, but he just had a few like ideas on how to run a business that I don't think worked unless you were in the 70s and 80s. So it was getting to a point where I was like just kind of outgrowing them and I wasn't getting trained properly and I was like finding myself getting really stuck. And I just like stopped enjoying hairdressing. And I also have a lot of health issues as well. I've got an autoimmune disease.
Right.
Well, one health issue that leads to a lot of health issues, which it's been in remission for quite a while now, which is I'm like touch wood.
That's good.
It's very good. But at the time I was going like through a really hard time of up and down trying to find the balance. And overactive thyroid is really hard to deal with. Anything thyroid related is just like an absolute bitch to like try to level out. I can't remember. Oh, yeah. So I was just really tired all the time, shaky. Like my anxiety was through the roof. And like I'd never had a panic attack in my life before getting this disease. So it was like a tough thing to deal with in your like, early to mid 20s, having panic attacks for the first time. And usually like these things kind of occur earlier. I don't know. I mean, I've heard most people have been, people with anxiety tend to get it like a bit early. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was just like, what is this feeling? I feel like my heart's going to explode. And then, I think we all remember the first time we've had a panic attack, to be honest. And then, I just decided to quit hairdressing, like that place, and go do a music production course. Because it's like, fuck it, I just like I was in another prog band that I joined a couple of years beforehand, Sky Chaser. Technically, we're still a thing, but we haven't done anything like for years. I don't know, a couple of them have kids and stuff like that. And we, don't know. We want to record the music that we've done. We don't know whether we're actually going to, keep going with the band as like trying to make it bigger or anything. But we definitely want to record and maybe play a couple of gigs or something every now and then, just to get the music out there. But yeah, I was in that, but we hadn't done anything for a while already at that point. And I was like, I'm just going to do this music production course and try to meet people and get back into music because I'm fucking depressed and I'm sick of hairdressing. So did that. COVID hits. That was the beginning of 2020.
Right.
COVID hits. I'm like in the middle of the course and I'm like, well, this wasn't the reason that I was doing the course. Like I wanted to actually meet people and talk to people about bands and stuff and try to find my little place as a musician in the world.
Yeah, I don't want to do that over Zoom. I want to do that in person.
I want to do it in person, And I was like, I want to use all the recording equipment. I don't use my little fucking Scarlett Solo in my bedroom. Or whatever? No, not even the Solo. The Solo, it's even worse. It's like one XLR, one like quarter inch. Yeah, that's it. I still use that one. I've still got it. But anyway, I have not upgraded yet. But I still had a great time. I got to a point where I could not, like my demos were like phone recordings on acoustic guitar and vocals to actually programming drums and doing proper demos and stuff like that. And in the 8 months course that I did, what was it? Yeah, it was just a diploma.
Yeah. That sounds pretty resourceful.
Yeah, and during that time, obviously, Future Static dropped their EP Fatalist, and then Brie left the band.
Yeah,
the previous singer. And as soon as I found that out, because I remember when before lockdown, Jack was showing me the demo that the producer had made, so it sounded really fucking good. I thought that was it. I thought that was the record. He's like, no, it's just a demo, bro. And I was like, what? Of the EP. And I was like, this music is amazing. This is exactly what I like. It's heavy. It's like melodic. It's emotional. And it's female vocals, which at the time I'm trying to join bands, it was kind of hard. Not because like they wouldn't want me because I was female, but because I actually just couldn't sing the repertoire. I was like, if it's written for a male vocal and I've got like a particularly high female vocal, like I can't sing most of their repertoire, they're not going to pick me. Like I'm not talking shit or anything. I'm just like, it just won't work unless they completely change everything where we rewrite, And I was like, this is like, so as soon as Brie left, I was like, how many days is it acceptable to wait to message them?
It's like dating. It's like, how long do I wait before I slide into the DMs there?
3 days I lasted, and I was like, fuck it. I don't want them to find anyone else before me. I'm just going to go
shoot your shot. Let's go.
Yeah, so I did, and like obviously Ryan had been, pretty good friends with us and would come over to the Loose End. Loose End was the band that Jack, Ben, and Jackson were in, and they lived together. Like four of them lived together, minus their singer. So it was like, we call it Loose End HQ, and then that was kind of the party house for a while until lockdown, where it became the party house of the girlfriends and them, and that's it, right? And so Ryan would come over before lockdown and would, party with us sometimes and hang out and play like games and stuff. So we're really good friends, and Ryan was like, look, it would be really cool, but we don't know what we're doing at this point. Like it's lockdown. We're just gonna fucking chill for a bit. We've just dropped the EP. We're just gonna ride off that for a bit and just see how it goes. And then you know, few months pass and stuff like that, and then like things start to open back up again, and I'm like, guys, like, yeah, if you're getting any gigs lately. And then Ryan was like, well, Kira actually wants to front the band with Ryan doing the screams, so that we're gonna kind of just like see how that went at first. And I was like, that's fair, she's got a fucking great voice. So I'm like, all right, I'll just like, you know, just chill a little bit and not ask too much. But yeah, eventually like what ended up happening was it came to January 2021, and they got a gig offer for like 2 weeks, and Kira's like, I don't think I'm ready. Like, I don't think I can do this yet. And I think everybody was like, I think that's how it went anyway. I wasn't there for the conversation. I wasn't in the meeting. But I think, everyone just kind of like got together and agreed that they needed, like, because Brie was such a very big presence on stage. She had a massive stage presence and a big voice and stuff like that. I mean, Kira has a big voice, but they would either have to get someone else to play bass and Kira fronts the band, or they would have to get someone else. And they were like, let's just give Amy a go in a prac and see. And I'd already let the songs ages ago. Ooh. I was like, oh yeah, I'll jump in like a super short notice. So I jumped in, and
I guess you want to be ready in case you get that call up, right? You don't want to get the message and then be like, fuck, I need to know if I can do this.
Yeah, I know.
So were you already comfortable with screaming by that point? Or because you mentioned like kind of figuring out whether you could do that component as well.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've heard the EP that they released, Fatalist, but there's only like 2 or 3 screams.
I wondered if that was more like the backing screams.
Yeah, there's not much screaming going on. Gotcha. So I was able to do those things, and it was all false chord stuff that I was doing, but it was like false chord just requires a lot of breath, and there was nothing really that long or big to do. So I even added an extra scream in one just to like really, really
this is what I'm working with here, just in case you're wondering.
I was like, I think it could have used a little screamy scream here. And yeah, I don't think, they were a little bit blown out, a little bit, it was like whatever, but I had fun. And Brie was also, I think she was an alto. So to be 100% honest, it wasn't like my most powerful section of my voice, but like I have so much crackhead energy on the stage, and they were like, yeah, that works. This is great. She's on pitch. She knows the songs. We had one more session with Coach to kind of tie me in, because they just literally like previously, right before they the singer left. They'd had like an 8-week course with Coach to like do like performance coaching with him. Right. Coach Canatelli, he's amazing. Steve Canatelli. He's if any band wants to absolutely up their game in the performance department, just get Coach. Absolutely get him. Like, even if you think you're already amazing, like he'll just like point things out and just kind of tie you all in together a little bit better. Like. So did a session with him, and then the gig happened, and it was just like this. That's it. Where this is perfect. It's like the way it is. Like this is great.
How did you feel like with that practice and that first gig? Like, being the outsider coming into the band. Yeah. Obviously, maybe a bit of nerves and trepidation, but after you got through that, were you just like, yeah, this works. Like, we can do this.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, things just kind of go over my head a little bit sometimes. I'm just like a little bit airy-fairy, like just a bit of a space cadet. So I just kind of like didn't even realize what we were getting into, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, I was like, because the EP Fatalist was really like it had kind of like started, putting them on the charts and stuff like that. But it wasn't, like it hadn't been completely like pushed properly because of the lockdown and all of this stuff. They didn't really get a chance. Yeah, they didn't really get a chance to like really like present everything properly. So yeah, I just had no idea what it meant. I was just like, I'm having a fucking sick time jamming with my friends on stage, and this is a fucking sick packed room, and it's great. And like people, you know, I did kind of feel like, I have to do Brie a justice because her voice is amazing and very powerful and strong. And I was like, I'm just going to make up for it by being as psycho on stage as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Because, Coach also helped me with that. I come from a little bit of a prog background. And, you know, I was just like my voice and technique and stuff like that. I was like, so I'd only kind of like cut sick every now and then when I was like, it's not going to impact the show. And then Coach was like, don't worry about that. If they want to listen to Perfect, they'll listen to the record. Like, just perform for them. Put on a show. And I was like, and as soon as he said that, something just clicked. So, and it just, I don't know. It just felt really good. It felt really good to do that with the people that I was doing it with. And just felt very supported. And I was like, I still didn't realize what it was going to turn into. I was like, this is just fucking great. This is fun. And here we are.
That's perfect. So I was going back through the single releases and kind of tracking kind of your entry into the band. Was Waves the first like recorded kind of debut of you with the band? Is that right?
Yeah. Waves was the first one we decided to release. It was, I think, the second song we wrote together. The first one was actually Venenosa.
Okay.
But then the Ryan came about with the instrumental Waves. This is also for lockdown, like into around 2021. There was the second one, and we were like, oh, really like this song.
Yeah.
Like, and then the vocals just kind of like flowed out really easily onto it, and we were like, this is our sound. So
Was it originally intended like for a record? Were they writing for a record?
No,
or was it just like, let's get a song with Amy and let's get it out?
Yeah, well, it was, we were going to do like an EP, that was for sure. And so we had Venenosa as a demo, we had Waves as a demo, and then we were in the process of writing, excuse me, sorry.
That's all right.
A third song so we did pre-production with our mixing engineer, CV. It's very good. And we did pre-production for Waves and Venenosa with him, just like to kind of get the ball rolling. And we started writing a third song, which never ended up making it, but a couple of riffs got stripped from it to be used in other songs over the album.
Stripped for parts.
Yeah, stripped for parts, which sucks because the main like vibe of it, I was really digging. It was very dramatic and operatic. I was like, it feels like I was like, so we'll probably end up stripping like that part of it eventually for something else as well. I was like, this is too good. But so that was the start of it. We were just going to release like 3 songs at first, maybe 4 or 5, depending on how it went. But like it was just like so quick between when we started doing, like going through this process to when our manager and label, same guy, found us and kind of just like took all of the releases and stuff into his hands and like made it pop and made everything just like go as far as it possibly could, which is awesome. So we timed the release of Waves with like, you know, the announce of being like signed and stuff like that as well. Yeah. So it was really, it just kind of like worked really well. The timing of everything was just so perfect. It's like, hey, this is the debut. This is Amy. This is with Future Static. And we just got signed before we even released anything. Fucking wild, right? I was like, what is going on? And then he was obviously like, when you get signed, you're just like, you're in now. You're signed. You gotta provide an album. We're like, shit, we better get writing, guys. Let's go.
Yes, these holes are meant for me. My fingernails may be my teeth covered in dirt. Just keep digging. Your words are falling in with me. Oh yes, these holes are meant for me. My fingernails may be my teeth covered in dirt. Just keep digging. Your words are falling in with me.
So talk to me about that then, because to come into a band that is already established to some degree, and then you kind of retool the band, you start working together, then you have to make an album. And from the sounds of things, your first ever experience making an album, working on a record, was that intimidating for you from like a lyrical perspective, from a writing perspective?
It was a little bit, but like I don't know. I kind of again didn't really think about it too much.
Just enjoying the moment.
I just because we'd gotten discovered by our label manager, Wild Thing. They imposed another lockdown, so straight after that, and it was a big fat one. It was the one in August 2020.
The really, really brutal one.
Yeah, the really brutal one. So we had nothing to do, and we were like, well, we've got to write an album anyway. So it kind of worked out really well.
Something kind of positive and creative to focus on.
Yeah, and I spent too long in the studio and never did not clean the house. Poor Ben. I did not do anything. I just kind of became an absolute studio rat. Lost my mind a little bit, as we all did. But then I just I don't know. I just kind of pulled upon old experiences or old pieces of writing that I'd had to write the album. So it was kind of very introspective, but also reminiscent of things, all the things because we weren't actually having new experiences to write about at the time. So I was like, let's see how deep into this little trauma bag I can get. Because I had quite a good childhood, all in all. I don't remember it being bad at all, bad. My parents were amazing, a bit whack, musician, but they loved us very much. They were very good. They did go through a divorce when I was 14, and that was a bit hard, but it wasn't, it was, I wouldn't call it super traumatic or anything like that. I had a great childhood all in all. So I kind of really had to dig deep, and the only thing I could think about was things that I'd put myself through mostly, or just my illness coming up, and I was or just just trying to in retrospect go back and how do I say this, my brain's stopping again, just go back and try to figure out how I was a shit person to some people, and just try to how I tried to rectify that, and just tried to make it very storytelling.
Was that a cathartic experience for you? Helpful?
Yeah, it was. It definitely made me need a bit more therapy after lockdown. But I think it was good. It was a good time to kind of actually open up and do it that way as well. It was a good start. It's any therapist I start with, I'm read the lyrics to my album. You'll get a good vibe of what's going on.
Here's
there.
Something I've prepared earlier for you. Okay, let's talk about the singles from the record then, because that's a good entry point to kind of talk about your collaboration with Colin from Ten of Swords Collective, because I think the singles and the music videos, the visuals of the band is such a striking aspect that, along with your performances and your vocals, everything about the band as a presentation is so dialed in. So when I was, becoming accustomed to the band, listening to the record, looking at the videos, I was man, they're on another level. Everything is so sick. So Roach Queen and Chemical Lobotomy are quite personal songs lyrically. And then the visuals are incredibly striking and kind of descriptive to what's going on in the music. So I guess when you were working with Colin to bring the visuals to life, was that something that you were directly involved in to kind of bring those lyrics out, or what was that experience like?
Yeah, I mean, what we do is kind of just bounce ideas back and forth between the band members, because Ryan and Kira both did half a degree each of film, so they both have a full degree each. That's their joke. They always make that joke together.
Combined.
That's not mine. I'm not stealing it. That the credit goes to Kira and Ryan for saying that between each other they have a full film degree. So they're very good at writing treatments and stuff, but Ryan has a very intense imagination.
Okay.
And what's actually possible when you're thinking about a 3.5 minute music video and what's you know, what he's written in it, like plus budget, you know.
Sure.
It was just really fun to like kind of go through and pick out what we could use of that. And I also had some very clear just like parts that I thought I really wanted to show for certain things. It wasn't like the whole thing for most of it. Roach Queen wasn't. I was like, this is a very intense story and I want it to be like spot on or pretty, but obviously everyone had ideas as well. But yeah, pretty intense story. And I was like, it's very important that actually gets shown in the video. But then, so we'd get these ideas, then bring them to Colin, and he was amazing at figuring out a good way to make it work, but in like, you know, in a way that will work for a music video and not like a long film.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and just
because 3.5 minutes, like, it's a pretty short amount of time
like 3.5,
to
4.
tell a story.
Yeah, it is. And it was just, he's very good at doing that though. Colin is fucking amazing. I absolutely love working with him. One, because he's just the loveliest dude ever.
He's a great dude.
Such
Legend.
a good dude. Like, he's always been so good. Just so good on set. So good. Like, hustles before, during, after. Like, could not recommend him enough in terms of Hanks as well. He's just like great to talk to.
Yeah.
And just like his edits as well, just absolutely incredible. And he's like, his attention to detail, the way he moves the camera as well to the beat, everything is so seamless the way he does it. And I think that was really cool as well. But he also introduced us to Renee Schultz, SFX and like set design. Now we're now best friends. We got along so well. We just clicked so hard. We're both short, crazy, creative women who also really like figuring out things logically with like lots of like mathematics and stuff like that. Ooh, yes, we get along really well. And she's just absolutely amazing. Like, so she's one of the reasons why a lot of the visual aspects of our music videos are so striking. Especially Venenosa was the first time we worked with her. Colin was like, I think we should get her on. And I was like, yeah, absolutely, whoever you think. And she massively proved herself there. Then for Roach Queen, she did the set design and she made my crown and the throne, the concrete throne.
I was about to talk about that.
I cannot believe, Selena did a lot of it as well. So Selena was her assistant / also SFX set design and stuff like that. She's amazing. Also worked with us on in Venenosa. And she's they both had this Renee kind of had this idea, and then Selena kind of also like helped figure it out and stuff like that. And they was such a good team together. I just the throne was just, I'm just like, how the fuck did you guys do this? It would be so heavy. They had to put it on a trailer. Bits of it were like coming off, but they managed to like set it up so it's crazy. It was very uncomfortable sitting on it with no pants on, but so was having fucking cockroaches all over me. So it's fine. It was and then we had my friend Lizzie, who's actually a milliner, do the outfits for Roach Queen. She also helped us with Gasolina. But she moved to Sydney, so then we could no longer kind of have her on, which sucked. But she did like a lot of like all of the styling for Roach Queen she did. So, and then I did the makeup because I was just like, I had this idea and I was like, I really just want to do this myself. And Renee was like, all right, fine, you do it yourself. And I was like, thank you. I was like just being a little bit of a diva about it. I was like, yeah, no. But Colin's great to work with, and I couldn't be happier with how they turned out. I mean, Roach Queen was hard because it was a bit different to what I had imagined. But I was like, this is so sick still. Like, it's not exactly what I pictured in my head. Venenosa was like that too, though. But it was just kind of like a learning curve for me of how film actually works and how difficult it is to like do certain things. And so I'm kind of getting the hang of it now with chemical lobotomy. It was so amazing. Like, because it was a little bit simpler we were just like, let's not go for a storyline. Let's just go for feel.
Sounds great.
So even though it's still quite striking, like a lot of like what makes like ties it into the story was Colin's effects and lighting and ideas. Yeah. So we didn't even write anything. It was just going to be a straight up performance video and like just see what happens. So that was like, yeah, Colin was very good with that. With Venenosa, he was like, what if we shot it like this, like the 5 people, like we wanted like the 5 of us to have like some kind of like toxic thing happen, because that's kind of what the song's about, is being a toxic bitch, right? And realizing that and fucking hating yourself and trying to get out of it and try to like, you know, rectify that. So we wanted to represent that in a way that would work, which is extremely hard to do for, you know, 3.5 minute song. And Colin just absolutely smashed the timeline. Like pretty much the first draft, minus a couple of little edits here and there, which were mostly like getting like getting the CGI guy to take out a little barcode on a tray that you could see for like half a second, because our manager was really fussy about that.
Sure.
Which is, you know, fair. I don't know. I didn't see it. I didn't notice it. So can we take that building out of like this like half a second shot? Because it doesn't look like you're in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, fine.
I mean, it's good to have people with an eye for that detail,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. But Colin was super good about like just fitting the whole narrative, because it was just such an, like, I was like, there's such an intense narrative to it that kind of like started as like the 5 deadly venom. Ryan wrote a thing about the 5 deadly venoms, like almost like the kung fu movie.
Okay. Cool.
So it started like that, and then we all had like a symbol, like a snake, the scorpion, the frog. So it's like the frog is strength is Jackson, and the snake was Jack because he's like kind of, I don't know, and the scorpion, I can't remember. I think that was me. I don't know, but we just like it just changed so much, and then we were like, well, that's just not going to work because I want black stuff coming out of my skin for this. That was all I asked. I was like, because that's what I had. I don't know, drug warning. You can cut this if you want. But it was about Venenosa was about a situation where I was wondering why everything felt so dark and weird. So I went off to an apartment by myself to drop a bunch of mushrooms and figure out why. And then I like tripped that black stuff was coming out of my skin. So I got in the shower and I was like scrubbing. It was actually quite intense, but it was very like, I kind of figured it out. I was like laying in bed after the shower, after scrubbing myself to death. Like, oh, I'm the cunt. Oh, I see. Yes, I just have to stop being horrible to the people who love me. Yeah, okay. A big trip to just realize that, right? But sometimes, you know,
sometimes that's what's required. Yeah. You need a hard reboot.
So I really wanted that scene to be in there. I was like, and there was a lot more blood than the actual trip that I had. There was no blood in mine. I didn't actually. We made it more gory because Renee was like, yeah, horror.
You got to dial it up a little bit.
Yeah, and it got shadow banned, which is why it's got like fuck all views, even though it was like one of the first videos that we released with Colin. That was actually, you know.
I saw he recently did that Red Hook video.
Oh yeah, that one that didn't get shadow banned. That got fucking banned, like straight up.
He was saying, because like, you know, we follow him on social media and stuff, and he was saying that like 75% of what they shot like won't see the light of day.
Yeah, that's
like,
so upsetting.
I mean, that's so rough.
Do what like Rammstein did. They like had, you know, the song Pussy is like basically a porno. They had like actors and they just photoshopped their head on actors, like fully going at it, right?
Very
like,
Rammstein, yeah.
Yeah, they just put it on RedTube.
Oh,
yeah, they put it up on RedTube.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, it's like, you know, I don't know if like Cannibal would, even at its worst, it probably wouldn't be as bad as that, but you know, that's if you wanted that version out somewhere, you could, or just Patreon it,
put it up on Vimeo or something. Like, I'm sure people would watch it. But yeah, so I guess not the first time that you guys have collaborated with Colin, and then like certain bits of it
So we
can't
had to, yeah.
can't make the final cut.
Well, they did. We didn't change it. We were like, fuck it, go shadow banned, but like there's nothing wrong with it. And we were trying to figure out why it was shadow banned. And, you know, like our manager was messaging with, you know, YouTube people. I don't know how that works, so don't ask me.
This is the admin that you're not doing.
No, I don't do this stuff. But he is, asking why it got shadow banned and why it wasn't coming up and stuff like that. And like, yeah. And they were like, oh, it's because it alludes to self-harm. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. Like, it doesn't allude to self-harm. They're tripping. They all got poisoned by the butler. Like, come on. It's fine. but
Are you not following the narrative? Come on, guys. Watch the video.
It could also be not the video itself, but the lyrical content, because there's a lyric in there. It's like, is this where people go to die? Is this how people commit suicide? So I actually say the word suicide.
Right.
But it was a question that I'd asked myself because I got scared when I was on the way to this place, when I was like actually not during the video for the thing. When I was driving there to go do these mushrooms, I was like, is this how, do people know when they're going to commit suicide? Or do some people not know and they're just like feeling the way I do, going to like remove themselves and I fucking tripped myself out. I was like, oh my God. I was like, what am I doing? I was like, I don't want to die though. So obviously it's not going to happen, but what if it does? What if I just lose my mind? And I just kind of like asked the question.
That spiral, yeah.
Yeah, I just kind of asked the question to myself. I was like, is this how it happens? Because you don't really know what's going through people's head. They might write a letter or they might not, you know, and you don't always know what's going on in people's heads when they're, you know, you can study it all you want, but, you know, you don't know. And I was like, oh, my God. Like, so that's what it was. I wasn't actually alluding to, like, suicide or self-harm, but I guess the word in there, you know, and, like, you know, ripping up fingernails and having things coming and scrubbing yourself until you bleed, I guess, you know, and
making it gory with the blood. Like I could see it.
Yeah, it's
bloody YouTube.
Yeah, so I can see it was actually, you know, and like when I was like actually filming that part, and Roach Queen as well. Roach Queen was fucking, I don't know how that didn't get shadow banned. I guess because I'm not actually self-harming. Although having cockroaches on me again after such a traumatic, like I have such a phobia of them now. Like they make me want to throw up because of the story. I don't know how much you know about what it's about.
I remember reading like the single launch and what it was about.
Yeah. So it's basically, just like growing up in Barcelona, it was a cockroach infested place. I was a kid, I was about 8, I think. It was like the first place we lived in Barcelona. And I kept having dreams that they would go into my mouth, and they were the small ones. The small ones are the grossest to me now, And then I would like vomit and see them in the toilet, and just like, and I don't know how bad it got. I was 8. I don't remember any of it. I don't remember whether I became anorexic because of it, because I was a little bit skinny. Could have also been the thyroid thing starting to pop up. I don't know. Have no idea what happened there. Could have just been like I vomited a couple of nights in a year and I like made a big deal about it in my head. I don't know. All I know is that it felt quite traumatic to me when I was like reminiscing on it, and I can't stand cockroaches now. Like I love spiders, I love every other bug in the world, but I can't stand cockroaches, and it just like, and having them on me, I was like, that's fucking self-harm, man, not Venenosa. And yeah, the funny part about that was when we filmed it in one day, like it took a day to set up because the set design was quite intricate. And then a day to shoot, and then the next day we're going to come back down. So, like, I went to a party straight after the shoot, and I was like, I just need to pack down tomorrow. It's fine. So, had 2 hours of sleep, woke up, and I was like, oh, no. We didn't put the cockroaches on me. And we just, like, forgot that shot. Like, we filmed everything. We were like, that's sick. And I was like, guys, I need to do this. I'm like, hold on. I was like, look, I could edit cockroaches on you, but your reaction wouldn't be
authentic.
Like, it wouldn't look real. So we had to go in the next day. I had to put on all the makeup again. And because it was the daylight, it was like the sun was coming in and there was no this was that noise complaint, the old one. Luckily, they actually had to move because we vacuumed as many cockroaches as we could, but those little fuckers probably ended up everywhere. They were so not energetic, though. Honestly, like the worst actors in the world. Like they were all like half dead by the time we got to them, which is quite sad even though I hate them, I was like, oh, poor things, they've been eating each other in this fucking box. And it kind of still made me feel a bit bad. I was like, oh, Greg. I was like, there's like one that kind of made it into my partner's van and he stomped on him and I was like, no, that was Greg. Why did you do that? So yeah, it did kind of help me over my trauma just a little bit, even though I still kind of feel a bit sickly when I see them.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, it was just funny having to do it all over again, all the makeup again and film it again so all the close-up shots where I have cockroaches on me. And I was done the next day on 2 hours sleep after partying.
That sounds traumatic.
It was like, there was like, I found a video of them doing it and I'm just like, mommy. Like, it's like, yeah, so it was, but yeah, chemical lobotomy was definitely like, I think, yeah, we just kind of went off the lyrics mostly. Ryan has like, you know, because he writes a lot of the instrumentals, or Jack did Roach Queen and the Hourglass, but Ryan's done like most of the other songs on the album. He's written the instrumentals and we just kind of add little bits and pieces. So that's why he has such strong ideas and feelings visually towards what we should do, and we just kind of like worked it out and tried to fit it all in.
Yeah.
I was sick of nobody help me. I was sick of nobody help me. I was sick of nobody help me. I was sick of nobody. Yeah. Independence stems from you, not giving a fuck.
Yeah.
I do think it is like such an important part of the band's identity because it really helps ground the music and like the lyrical stuff. And I mean, obviously the performances are incredible. The album sounds incredible. But when you see it combined with that visual element, you just kind of like, fuck, there's like so much going on here. Thematically, lyrically, sonically, like it's such a complete package. So yeah, I think you did a massive service, like bringing that album to life through those visuals. So yeah, shout out to Colin, shout out to the whole team. It sounds incredible.
And like, yeah, wild thing as well, like Elliot, our manager, he's definitely had like, you know, a lot of good ideas and stuff like that, and just kind of like really cleaned it up, nitpicked all the things that made it like turned something from, you know,
good to great.
Yeah. So definitely just like the whole team that we worked with it just worked really well.
Yeah.
That's why we kind of continuously want to use these people. Like we landed the right people pretty soon. The only video that we haven't done with Colin is Waves. That was the first one we did with a friend that used to do our photos and stuff like that, but ended up getting cancelled for very real reasons. He's an abusive person. To not to us. He was professional with us and stuff, but we just couldn't support that anymore. We were like, no, we need to. Yeah, we need to up our game anyway, because he was like a little bit green and we were going to be like, we'll grow, you know, we're still babies anyway. But as soon as we got the label, it was like, no, we need to spend money now. And it was worth it.
Yeah, 100%. In terms of kind of then taking the album on the road. So the album comes out in November last year. And then I want to kind of talk about what you've been up to this year, because it's been a pretty busy kind of touring, show, kind of nonstop stuff for the last few months. So I guess looking at my notes here, you played with Crossfaith and Pale Dusk in February.
Yeah.
Had a support slot with them.
Yeah.
What was that like, playing with Crossfaith?
That was really cool. Like, I remember seeing Crossfaith at Unify and absolutely loving it and like just getting so into that pit. So it was really fun. Yeah, we didn't get to do, because was it 2 shows?
I think it might have been 1 or 2. I couldn't remember.
I think it was 1 show. I don't know. I think it was just the 1 show. Yeah, but it was so good. It was really fun. They were super lovely. Yeah, I don't know. We didn't get to talk to them too much because it was only 1 show. Like, you know, it's different when you're touring.
Sure.
Didn't get a chance to bond, but it was awesome, and it was the first time we played the Croxton as well. So it was good to get like a feel for the room. yeah, no, it was just great. It was just a lot of fun, that one.
Yeah.
Got a good crowd, got a good wall of death going. So
Excellent.
yeah, and I mean, straight after we released the album, we went on tour with Electric Callboy as well in November.
That's
which was
right.
fucking awesome. That was huge. It was a great tour. Yeah, it was a very last minute one as well. We were like, oh shit, we're dropping the album that day before, and then we have to prepare for tour as well. And I was like the social media bitch, so I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna fucking destroy me. It was very stressful, but very worth it.
Yeah.
And then Tesseract was just.
So that was the national run with Tesseract last month, May?
Yeah,
a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. It was like the beginning of May.
Yeah. So what was that like?
That was like a dream come true.
Are you a Tesseract fan?
Yeah, I've been a Tesseract fan for quite a while.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I remember this one guy showed it to me once years ago when I was actually getting lessons from Kin at Hydra. I was like friends with this other band, and this one guy offered to drive me home once because I didn't have a car. So that was super sweet, this band. They were called Notice of Eviction.
Okay.
And yeah, I think he was was he a guitarist? He definitely wasn't the drummer. I think he was the guitarist. Yeah, Mitch. He showed me them, and he actually, like, not long through lockdown ended up committing suicide, which was really horrible.
That's
I didn't
awful.
know him that well, but I was like, I kind of just like, you know, when I toured with Tesseract, I was like, kind of just like took a moment to think about it, be like, this one goes out to you, Mitch. Like,
Yeah.
I love Tesseract so much because of him showing me. I can't remember what album he showed me. It could have been like Nocturne or something like that. I can't remember. No, is that the album? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of like slowly started listening to them from then onwards, and then yes, when Sonder came out, I was just obsessed with Sonder, and then obviously War of Being. I was listening to it like throughout the whole tour. The EU tour last year, I was listening to that album and seeing posters everywhere, and I would never have guessed we would have ended up on the Australian League. I stole a poster from Munich of their German one because it kept falling off the door, and I was like, mine, and I took it home with me, and I was like, dude, I'm literally on the Australian one of this now. That's wild. It's like,
that's so crazy.
Did
you guys like ask for the tour, or did you get asked to be the support?
I'm pretty sure like we would have put our name down, and like
I'm sure your manager probably sorted that out.
Yeah, we're with Dell as well, so they were kind of running the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they're our booking agent, and I think
it's just a natural fit for a lineup, you know.
I don't know. A lot of people seem to think it wasn't until they saw it. They're just like, Future Static aren't prog though, and I'm like, well, why do you want the same? Like, we need to get out of this thing of having the same sound because people get fucking bored.
No, mixed bills.
Like, if it's
mixed
like
bills forever.
Always. Like, and you know what? I think, you know, we're kind of prog enough to get away with it.
I think so, for sure.
Vocally heavy, like harmony heavy. Like, I think that's kind of like, you know, one of the main things about Tesseract is just like, even though they're playing in ridiculous time signatures, like, and we play in 4/4, which is a joke I made on stage. I was like, before playing the Hourglass, I was like, guys, this is definitely the proggiest song we have, although it's still in 4/4. Got quite a few laughs in the prog crowd. I was like, they get my joke. Yay.
Nice. Music nerd humor.
Yeah, it was funny to see. Yeah, it was funny to see what, like, it was always the people at the back who would laugh at that. I was like, oh yeah, you're not moshing. No, I'm joking. They were moshing hard for Tesseract, I'll tell you what. But yeah, it was a dream come true, honestly. And they were all such lovely dudes as well. And like the fact that they even, because I love King, and when I heard they were doing King, I was just like, I want to do a feature with it so bad. I want to sing it, because I did like 2 years ago or something. I like posted a vocal harmony over the top of King, like just on Instagram, just as like a reel. I didn't like think anything of it, and I was like, oh, I want to do it so bad. And then in the end, like we all went out for drinks after the Adelaide show, which is really fun, and we went to this bar that Future Static go to every time we play in Adelaide, called Shotgun Willie's. It's like basically cherry bar, dive bar vibes, but Western. It's really fun.
I love that. That sounds
so
sick.
because it was a Tuesday night, they only keep downstairs open until like 2 or something like that, 1 or 2 a.m. We were alone. It was like basically if you just Static Tesseract and crew after party. They're just hanging out talking. And yeah, I was talking to Dan with Jack and the what's it called? The conversation came up where he was like, oh yeah, I watched you do the king thing because I mentioned it previously when I talked to him.
Right.
And I didn't say anything, and Jack was like, nah, girl, you got to take. So Jack actually asked for me because I was too shy. I was like, do you reckon Amy could do a guestie in Perth? And he's like, yeah, we can make that happen. And I was like, what? And I blacked out. I blacked out from happiness. I know that like when I've been drinking, even if it's not a lot, if I get a strong emotion, usually anger or sadness, I'll black out, which is terrible, right? Which is why I don't drink much anymore. But yeah, I didn't think I'd black out from like pure bliss, but here we are. Apparently I was just like squeaking this like rubber chicken in the Uber on the way back, like being like squealing about how happy I was going to do this guestie in Perth. And it was so good. I think everybody really loved that tour. Like everyone in the band, even like the not so prog nerds.
Yeah.
We're like, they're fucking amazing. Like, yeah, they're undeniably good. And the fact that we got to, open for them in Australia in our hometown and kind of like take that big step up. Like, I mean, I think it was very important for us to do that, like doing our headliner and in the UK. I don't think like, that was super helpful with that as well. Like James, like saying yes to us, like to be like, can you help promote our UK tour? I feel like such a shit asking, I feel so guilty. I'm like, oh God, I'm taking time out of these people's day just to like, get a leg up on this tour and stuff like that. But you just got to do it. And I'm like, oh, it feels so
you got to do it. And like,
yeah.
They know what that's like, having already been in that position. So like,
yeah, for 20 years, mind you, they've been doing it. So I just like, I felt less bad like when they like, the reaction was always so chill. Like, especially I was like, we'll do it at Shotgun Willie's. And he's like, yeah, that sounds like fun. I was like, so sitting on a motorbike, like doing this like promotion. And it's just like so nice of him to do that. And I don't know how we would have gone like otherwise. Like I think if we get even close to selling like 50 tickets per show, then I think it's going to be thanks to them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, speaking of, let's talk about that because you are going over for a UK run next month.
Yeah.
And then you've also got select like mainland Europe shows as well. Some in Germany, Hungary.
Yeah.
Spain and Sweden.
Yes, we do have Sweden now. A couple of these things were so last minute that I don't even remember like what we're doing. But yeah, and with Anchor as well, like I'm so excited to do the tour. So Germany is mostly going to be with them on their run through Germany, and we've got a couple of our own headliners in Germany as well. Yeah, I don't know. We're doing 21 shows in the space of 30 days.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's
with the album that, we've written, this is where I'm like really going to be testing my voice out. Maybe by the end of it, there might be more vocals on the tracks than there are right now because there's like almost none. And maybe, by the end of the tour, there might be a bit of a change on that one.
Yeah.
We'll find out. We'll see how well I can maintain it. Because technique's good and all, but sleep is the only thing that heals vocal cords. So
yeah, and it's like it's a stamina thing, right? Like you've got to like pace yourself. You've got to know like if I'm doing vocals over a particular period of time, like can't go too hard because then you'll burn out.
Which is hard for me because I love going so hard. I'm like,
you obviously love to chat too, so like you've got to have vocal rest. Like I know that's important.
That's a running joke in the band. Like whenever I'm saying something stupid or like talking too much, the band just like goes, Amy, vocal rest. It's not because they want me to get vocal rest. It's just like it's a polite way to tell me to shut the fuck up. Yeah. It's just fantastic. I think it's a really lovely way to tell me to be quiet. I'm very accepting
very diplomatic,
of it. Yeah. I mean, vocal rest. Yeah.
With the the UK run, your main support there is Giant Walker.
Yeah.
Fantastic band.
Yeah, they're amazing. I gave him a listen when Ellie, our manager, recommended them, and I was like, oh, this is sick. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Very, very cool prog vibes.
Very cool
Yeah.
prog vibes. The vocalist Steph is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I may have had a sneaky advanced listen to the record that they're putting out in September.
Sick.
And it's phenomenal. Really, really
Yeah.
good. So
that's
stoked for you
so
guys to play
good.
shows with them because they're a perfect match for you.
Oh, sick. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about about how well we're going to go together. I'm really excited to meet them and actually, make more friends and see more bands doing fun shit and it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
No,
it's
we've
gonna be a fun summer run for you. Lots of good shows.
Yeah, I can't wait. Doing a show in my hometown in Barcelona, I haven't been back in 9 years. I haven't been able to make it back there. Even last year in Europe, I was contemplating tacking a holiday on at the end or at the start, and I just financially can't do it.
We were talking about that before we kind of got started here, that it is a big financial kind of risk / burden to kind of get over there and do shows as an Australian band. So it would be very special, I think, for you to be able to do work there as well as go back and visit your hometown.
Yeah. So luckily, my partner decided last minute that he would come with me to Europe because he has a very crazy life schedule as well. He runs a cybersecurity business.
Right. Wow.
And it's he's got 13 staff. So he can't just or 14 or something, but he can't just up and leave most of the time unless but he realized he'd basically been able to set things up in a way that he could go for 10 days or so. And we're let's just, I'll go to Barcelona a bit earlier. Because that's the first stop. Our first stop is Barcelona. We're playing on the 16th on a Tuesday. In summer, that's fine. Everybody goes out every night. There's a million tourists who want to go see gigs all the time, always out all night. Doesn't matter. It's July. Nobody's working or going to school. There's no such thing. It's just party and fun and chills and socializing, basically.
That sounds great.
Yeah, so it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a wonderful show. And I'm excited to go back for a few days beforehand just to kind of get that out of my system first, and then I can go and be professional Amy when the band arrives and be cool, now that I've
had my vacation time.
I've had my 3 days of catching up with friends and just because I don't know how I'm going to feel. I don't know what's going to happen. I might just be on stage and just start fucking bawling my eyes out. I actually don't know. I'm such a dramatic person. It's very likely that we might have to stop the set because I'll just be so overwhelmingly emotional. So I'm hopefully going to get that out of my system beforehand. So I can actually do the set because it's a 60-minute set and it's a long set, and I've got there's a song Halfway Across the World, which is a little acoustic interlude thing that goes for 1 minute and 20 on that album, which I wrote, and it's actually about how when I moved here, I didn't feel. I missed Barcelona so much. I didn't have many friends. I wasn't fitting in very well here because I didn't go to high school, didn't go to uni. I just kind of jumped into the workforce, into hairdressing, and just in a small a small salon. I couldn't find my people.
Yeah.
Until I found Future Static.
Yeah.
Well, the people who led me to Future Static, my ex, all of this,
That's right.
the metal scene and the music scene. When I found that again, and I was oh shit, I belong here now. I feel I finally am starting to. But yeah, I definitely want to have a chat about that, and I feel that's just gonna send me into absolute fucking hysterics, but not laughing hysterics, sad
Hysteria.
It's the proper just gone. But yeah, hopefully I'll be able to hold it together enough to
I'm sure you
Yeah,
will.
to sing the song without it. You know?
I think it's going to be a special show
Yeah.
for you and for the band. And I
Yeah.
think the whole kind of European UK run looks phenomenal. So I'm
And
sure you
yeah,
guys are
like
going to have a
Kira
great time.
has family in the UK as well. And like, you know, we played 2 shows last time there. But like this is so different, like doing a headliner. Before we've ever done an Australian headliner, oh my God, I still don't understand what the fuck's going on.
The balls on you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously because we've got Radar Festival,
Mhm.
and they're helping.
lineup
They're
looks
helping us.
incredible.
Yeah, dude, we Tesseract again. Vola are like one of my favorite bands. Can't believe I'm playing with them. The Midnight as well. I'm obsessed with the Midnight. Can't believe we're on the same poster.
Did you see them at the Forum?
I did. Yeah,
That show was
that
fucking
so good.
crazy.
Oh my God, I loved it so much. Like that was the first time I'd seen them. They're way too fucking good. Like
Paige
it's
and
so
I-
amazing.
That was like the first band that we like,
Mm.
I guess both started listening to when we started dating.
Oh,
And she bought me a vinyl copy of Endless Summer. And
dude, that's so funny. You
Yeah.
say that. Was so beautiful. My partner and I also like that's our album. We always like kind of put it on and we both enjoy it, and like it's
so good.
that's so cute. She bought you the vinyl. Oh, that's
It's so good. And like I love
Yeah.
that band. I love listening to them. And like
Mm.
they played here, they played a festival, I want to say like right before COVID, maybe like 2019. I think they came and did like a Sydney and Melbourne show. And I was still living in Queensland and I was like, fuck, I'm not going to be able to see them. I want to see them. And then, of course, it was like years and years later. But
Yeah.
like moving here to Melbourne, seeing that they were playing the Forum, I was like, we've got to
We
go.
gotta go, yeah.
And it was so, so good. Like
Yeah.
the live saxophone, like
Oh man, yeah,
So
the guitar solos, like, and just like, Jason is one of my favorite songs. It's such a bad.
Nikki's vocals
Oh,
on that track.
Yeah,
Impeccable.
Oh, is that like the same chick that did it live as well? I think it's
No.
different. Yeah, because
So there's a
yeah.
band that they were touring with in the US. Sorry for listeners.
No,
We're just
please.
going on a midnight tangent here. But
please do.
there was a band that they toured with in the US. The name escapes me now.
Mm.
But because like the Midnight are a duo, right? And
Yeah.
they toured with this band in the US. And then they've effectively just like poached that band to be their backing band.
Yeah.
So that's the female guitarist,
Yeah,
the drummer, I believe.
she really did it a justice as well. She did.
Yeah,
their
they're
vocals a
phenomenal.
justice.
And like
So
I've
good.
seen their kind of live lineup is now like they toured Europe, they did the India shows, they did here. Like that's kind of the live makeup of the band now.
Yeah.
But they work so well
and the
together.
drummer, like on his like hexa, you know that if like the pads are a hexagon shape, it's gonna sound fucking good. Like
As soon as I saw
I was like, whoa.
as soon as I saw the setup and he has the rototoms, and I was like, that's the
Oh.
80s shit. I was like, you got to get the rototoms. That's the sound.
I don't know what that is. What
It's
are
like
the rototoms?
It's like the toms that are like high up and you can like rotate them to get like a different kind of pitch. That's how you get like
Oh.
the high like
Oh my God, I didn't even see that. Like I should have paid more attention to it, but it just look. I was standing kind of on the left side, so I was just like seeing the kit from
Yeah.
the sides. I couldn't actually see. Like I should have moved around a bit and checked it out,
Yeah.
but I was a bit too stoned to move. I was just like, eh.
It was packed. Like we were right up like on the floor at the front of the
Oh,
forum
sick,
there.
yeah.
And we were like, I don't know, I'm 35, so like I rarely get in the pit anymore. But at the midnight show, I was just like, I'm gonna go right in front of the sound desk.
Yeah.
Because I know that the sound will be like perfectly
Perfect,
dialed in.
yeah.
And like the forum's incredible. The sound there is unreal. But like
Yeah.
we just stood there for the whole set and it was so good. They played like 20 songs or something ridiculous.
It was so good.
Incredible.
Oh, it was amazing because I was like, I loved the Midnight. I've loved the Midnight for years, but I never really like did the album
Mm-hmm.
thing. I don't know. I just kind of made a playlist of like my favorite songs. It's got Shadows on it, like some things from the old albums.
Yeah.
It's got
That
got
Nocturnal EP
Crystalline.
is like
Yeah, it's like it's a bit
so good.
darker.
Yeah.
I mean, like and the summer is definitely like if you want to feel good. And you want to feel a mix between nostalgia and future, like that's the one. That's the album. But I mean, the Midnight has helped me through a lot of situations.
Now you get to play
Like,
a festival in the UK with them.
know.
That's so sick.
I can't believe it. I'm like so tempted to be like, Jack, do you reckon you could pull a guestie for me from the midnight? Be like, ask if I can sing Jason. Jack's going to be like, no way, not that. I could do Tesseract. That's about it. Like,
I mean, look, I say shoot your shot. I say have a
could you
go.
imagine?
All you can do is ask.
Yeah.
You never know.
They've probably got such a routine. It would be hard to crack. And it's like I felt the same about Tesseract. And when they said yes, I was like, what? And I guess that they were so lovely as to say yes, but I don't know if everyone would be that way as
That's
well.
true.
That would, if they have like such a perfect time, and it can throw people off. Like it could, like some musicians, like they really need their routine to be like so structured and perfect that it would be really hard to
Just jump in
and
Yeah, that's
and try
understandable.
to, I don't want to be the one to throw anyone off. That definitely isn't what I'm
That's fair.
there for. So, but I probably will shoot my shot because
Please do.
I'm gonna try.
We're going to be rooting for you, Amy. We want you to do
And
it.
Vola, all of it. I'm just gonna slot my way into all of the headliners, like guest spot. I'm joking. I'm not gonna do that. I'm joking. A girl can dream.
A girl can dream.
A girl can dream.
Look, we've been rambling for an hour and a half.
Oh my God,
So
sorry.
this is all great stuff. I guess to kind of wrap up the conversation here, what is next and coming up for Future Static?
Yeah.
Anything that you can tell us? You don't have to disclose any secrets, but for the rest of 2024, once you get back from Europe, do you have any plans?
We've got Froth and Fury.
In Adelaide?
In
Yes,
Adelaide. That's
that
going to
looks
be
fun.
amazing. I'm very excited. There's a good lineup of bands. Just like a big variety as well. I think there's a lot of like punk, but also metalcore. I mean, North Lane's headlining that, I think.
I believe they are. And Day of Contempt are getting back together, like from back in the day.
Yeah,
Huge.
it's like huge things. Like
Big Adelaide band. So.
because I didn't like grow up here. Like, there's a lot of like bands that my friends are like, oh my God, and I'm like, I have no idea who they are. Please, like, teach me who these people are,
Educate me.
because like there's different people for Spain as it was here. There's some bands that weren't as big in that.
Sure.
So yeah, it's gonna be fucking awesome, and the fact that it's like half Oktoberfest as well. That's going to be good. And then so far we don't really have any other plans for the year. Like, obviously we're trying to find a way and time to do our, an Australian headline tour for Liminality, but it probably won't happen until next year. But just so everyone knows that it's on the cards at some point, we're going to do it. We have not like started planning when or how that's going to happen.
I mean, you got a busy schedule. You got lots of stuff going on, so it'll happen eventually.
Yeah, I just feel like kind of like bad. It's like, Australia is obviously the place that supported us the most. It's our scene. It's where we, like, the band basically grew up. And we're not even giving them a headline tour yet. We're giving the UK, Spain, and Germany like our own headliners before we give Australia. And we've got plenty of festivals in Europe, which is great. But yeah, I think it'll come to a point where we just need to do a headliner here, and we want to do that so bad. But we'll keep everyone updated on how that's going.
Yeah, be very excited for that.
Yeah.
And I guess. Are you writing anything? Are you working on new stuff?
Yeah, not yet. I mean, Jack's come up with a couple of really cool instrumental bangers, which I won't get too much into because it's still very, very early days. But I guess we're just trying to like work as much as we can so we can earn enough money to do the tours and stuff that we're doing and not completely go bankrupt, which is, for me, probably something that might happen. So I don't know what I'm going to do.
I understand.
It's hard.
It's tough out there. It's expensive.
And it's like hairdressing wasn't a job that I could keep and do the band thing. They're very fussy about leave and stuff. If you want to work at a good place that actually pays like enough, it was a hard. I think I should have chosen something like graphic design like Jack because he's got a good flexibility. He can work from home with that. I can't do the same exactly. I mean, I can do some friends' hair and stuff from home, but it's not the same. So yeah, but we got the band. Yeah, the band's very excited for Froth and Fury. We haven't really got that much on the cards after that yet, but hopefully we'll have a few tours and stuff coming up. We don't know. These things seem to happen so last minute. Like we're at the point where we're getting really big tours, but we're getting them like really fucking last minute. So yeah, so we're at that middle point. Yeah, which is it's fantastic, but we don't know what's going on half the time.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it pays well to be flexible and to be able to kind of jump on that stuff when it comes up. So.
And I think we might, like, as far as writing goes, like we'll probably end up doing one of those writing retreats that bands tend to talk so highly of. Like, yeah, even like the Last Martyr and stuff like that did that for their upcoming like body of work. I think it's an EP. I'm not sure if it's an album, but yeah, they did that and, you know, said that it was amazing for, you know, how they wrote. And because we wrote over lockdown like so separately, it'll be really interesting to see how we go collaboratively, because we've tried it before and it just like felt weird in my house and stuff like that. But if we actually have like a studio setting where we just kind of like focus on only that for 2 or 3 weeks, that could really bring, I think it could bring a really good, a good and interesting sound. And we'll probably definitely think about like writing stuff that we can actually play a bit more comfortably. But yeah, like I think that's kind of going to be the option for us, because Ryan is very good. He gets like a creative bout and then he just like rips banger after banger. Like I think the big portion of the album, which was Ryan's instrumental work, Jack's got a few in there, I've got a couple, but mostly Ryan. He came up with most of it in like a 2 or 3 week period over lockdown.
That's crazy.
He just gets in these little like creative hyperfixation holes and just rips out like the most amazing work, and you're like, what the hell? Where did this come from? So I think it'll be really good that way.
That sounds awesome.
But yeah, we're definitely planning on getting the ball rolling soon, hopefully after Europe, or maybe even during Europe. Who knows, if we get days off or something, we could just sit down. Now that we got an in-ear rig, it's a lot easier. Like we got the laptop, we can just do it in the hotel room if we wanted.
That's sick.
Just plug it in and be like, yo, let's go.
Well, we might kind of wrap things up there for the main episode.
Yeah.
Amy, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Owen. Thank you for hearing my rambling.
No, this was perfect. Thank you so much. Subscribe now to the Pitch of Discontent Patreon to receive access to extended cuts of our bonus episodes, as well as exclusive behind-the-scenes content, monthly Patreon-only episodes, member-only votes, the TPD community chat, and much more. Go now to patreon.com/TPDpod and join for as little as $5 a month. That link again is patreon.com/TPDpod. Thanks for watching the show.